So thank you guys for coming out. It's good to actually be back in person. Here meeting at our new and improved venue. Brick Street is now closed on Mondays kind of permanently, so I believe this will be our new home. So thank you guys for coming out. I do want to start the meeting by introducing all the board members that are here. So my name is Ed Constable, and I'm this year's president. If each board member could stand as I introduce them, just so you guys can try to familiarize with who the people are in case you didn't know. Our vice president this year is Aaron Dion. Aaron's back here. Our treasurer this year is Brian Edel. Here's Brian. Our executive director this year is Bobby Kirby. She's standing right there in the back by the camera. And our new board members, we have a new board member, Bernard Drew, and he's our vendor chairman. He's going to start bringing in some new vendors to speak to you guys. Yeah, I did see Bernard.
He's outside the door.
Okay. He's outside the door, and he's got a mask on, and a new hat. Then we got Attorney Craig Federline. He's been on the board for a while.
Here you go, right here.
For all your real estate needs. Henry Tannenbaum, one of the godfathers. He's sitting over here. He doesn't have to stand up. Doesn't like too much attention. And then we do have a new member, new board member also that we're happy to have is Arlene Winfield. So thank you for joining us tonight. So those are all of our board members for this year. But we have someone in our presence today who finally hung up the hat and retired. He's one of the founding fathers of the Genesee Landlord Association, the Godfather. And his name's Terry Hansen. If Terry Hansen could come up here, and if we could give him a round of applause, we have. Someone take a picture. We could just give him another round of applause. This will be here about Terry's hard work and decades and decades of commitment. So today, our first speaker is Vicki, Schultz, President and CEO of Catholic Charities. We're going to have 3 speakers tonight, and then I'm going to give a short presentation on how to use the Eviction Database. If any of you guys can think of anybody recently that you've evicted, I'm going to be asking for examples so I can try and find these people in our Eviction Database and show you how we can further improve the database itself. So please help me welcome Vicki up there.
I have a loud voice, but I'll use the mic to make sure you can still hear me, okay? Good evening, everyone. Many of you, a lot of you I've probably talked to or emailed to, so now you see me in full flesh. This is Vicki Schultz, and like I said, I'm the CEO for Catholic Charities. And the reason I'm here tonight is because I don't have a supervisor or a coordinator of the new program or the HARA. And many of you experienced working with Tammy probably and her team last year in 2020 during the Eviction Diversion Program. It was called EP. And that was the only provider in Genesee County was Catholic Charities, and we went through $5.3 million here in Genesee County for the eviction diversion. I thought that was the end when December rolled around and the money ran out, and to my surprise, they came up with the SARA program. And I'm sure you've heard that acronym. That stands for COVID Emergency Rental Assistance. So for many of you, you just sort of one program goes into the other, but for us, it was truly different. And our money came through VISTA last time from the state. This time it comes through the Department of Treasury, and our partner in Genesee County is G-Card, and they got their money directly from Department of Treasury, where we had to wait for ours to come through VISTA, and ours doesn't come as cash. That's one thing you need to hear. As ours comes as a contract with an allocation amount, we spend the money, we turn in a financial report to the state, and then we wait anywhere between 45 and 60 days to get reimbursed. So last year, when many times you guys were waiting for your checks and wondering what on earth is going on. Catholic Charities as a nonprofit could only put so much out front. And we were spending about $1 million, and at that point, if we didn't have reimbursement, I said, hold the horses. I got payroll to meet. So that's how ours works. I think G Cards has got money in the bank, if I'm not mistaken. So theirs is a little different because they're directly with Department of Treasury and we're through Bishop with the state. So I just want to make that clear because I'm not going to tell you that's not going to happen again. Because if we get to the point as a nonprofit, you can only put out so much, and I'm sure if it was the county or the city or any other nonprofit administering this program, there's only so much you can put up front before you got to wait for reimbursement. So I just wanted to make sure I clear that because last year, that was a lot of complaints I heard from landlords was you promised the money, and then Tammy would have to send emails and say, your check didn't go in the mail because we had to hold it, or you didn't even know why your check didn't go in the mail. Maybe that was part of it. But I have to make sure I keep the organization running because this is just one housing program, this eviction diversion. So for Catholic Charities, we do everything from adoptions, counseling, the Center for Hope, parolees programs, anger management, domestic violence, housing, we're the housing. We are starting a tiny homes project, if you haven't heard that. Catholic Charities also owns St. Michael's Church, if you haven't heard that update. So there's a lot of things going on at Catholic Charities. And so if you can't always reach me, it's because I run the office here in Shiawassee, I run the office in Shiawassee, and I run the one here in Flint. And for many of my contracts, like Department of Corrections, I have 10 counties. So I have the whole thumb of Michigan, including Lapeer, Shiawassee, Genesee, and that's for all parolees that return to the community, which in our community we have around 500 to 600, and the other 100 and some are in those other outlying counties. So Genesee has most returning parolees. And as you all know, I'm sure many of you have dealt with those that want to rent from you. And I don't know what some of your policies are, but I can tell you one population that we have that's really hurting for housing is those that have CSE charges. Those that went to prison for child sexual conduct, they come out, they're labeled the rest of their life, and many of you, employers or landlords, they have this taboo that nobody wants to rent to them and nobody wants to hire them. And shame on you, because I hire them. If I owned houses, I'd probably be renting to them, because I believe they get a second chance in life, and that's what Better Success is all about. And I have found that some of those men that come out of prison after 30 years or whatever, they are some of the most conscientious, hardworking guys. I've put them to work at Catholic Charities in our maintenance department, and they've proven themselves over and over. And I have broke down some walls with employers who told me, no way are they going to hire anybody with a felon and a CSE charge on there. And I can tell you, a couple of those now are making $20-some an hour after 3-4 years of going through the program. So I'm very proud of them, and that's what we need to get all 500-600 of them back as self-sufficient, supporting citizens in the community. And they all know that I'm behind them. So you'll hear me always say, why won't you rent to a felon? So I just wanted to get my little 2 cents in about that. The new program started March 15th. It started with a rollout of announcement to everybody except the providers. And the providers were like, oh boy, we were told we had to have 75% of our staff hired or committed to being hired, by March 30th. So that was very interesting because they're telling us when to have everybody on board, but yet they unrolled the program March 15th. I was probably really fortunate because I think I can move a little bit faster than G-Card because that's a government agency and I'm a nonprofit. So my folks were on board and hired, and I can tell you, we started the week after March 15th. We started like on the 22nd, 23rd, whatever that was. And we've been taking applications, paper applications, and processing. And I look today how much we've spent paying arrears in rent, paying rent forward, past utilities, and water and sewer bills, and there's even some you can help with the internet. As of right now, today, we spent $410,000 of these monies. So it's out there, it's starting to move. But with G-Card, they've got, how many new staff you say? Oh, I shouldn't take your thunder, yours up, so. Anyway, they'll just fill you in on their program, but once they're up and we're rolling together, we're gonna be able to really, produce the numbers and process these applications. We originally started out believing that there would be, 66 million, wasn't it? I think the original amount, 66 million. Then we waited forever, which you all heard, because I know I was communicating. I was on some of your Zoom calls and your Zoom meetings, and Linda would communicate with me, and we waited day by day. I mean, one minute we heard, oh, the governor's gonna sign the bill this week, the governor's gonna sign the bill this week, the governor's gonna sign the bill this week, and we just kept waiting and playing that game. It finally was signed, but it wasn't for the full appropriation of the 66 million. So at this time, what's been released is G-Card has their money, and our contract right now is 11.7 billion, and I think they have somewhere around the same amount. So we got about 25 million for Genesee County. If we can spend, which that doesn't sound like it's too difficult to do, if we can spend 65% of this 25 million by the end of September 30th, then we're up for another appropriation coming through Genesee County. And I think the day will come where we will see this money, the whole 66 million, flow into Genesee County. It will go into 2022 for sure. We will not be able to spend all that by the end of this year. So right now, it's probably looking that it will go through September of next year, and that's a lot of money too. And some of these folks, like you know, as landlords, some of these folks are 12 months behind, and I know Catholic Charities has already cut checks that are over $12,000 for one individual. So we see everything from, maybe $1,200 all the way to $12,000. I've seen that so far, just in what we're doing. This first handout that went out is the one that says COVID at the very top of it with the blue on it. Who is eligible, assistance provided, and then what is required. Now, there's paper copies out there, and I think G-Card might have passed those out. They can speak a little bit about that, and I'm sure we'll cover each other, whatever we missed. But the one thing is that between G-Card and us as partners, it's been divided all the zip codes in Genesee County. So you'll look on this sheet and you'll see under Catholic Charities what properties you have, what zip code they fall in, and that's the area you gotta go as a provider. So if you're a Catholic Charity zip code, your applications come to us and vice versa to G-Card. Right now, it's paper copies because we all just been trained on the brand new software. Of course, the state's gonna roll it out, a month after they've already started the program. That's how the state works. And we got training last Thursday and Friday for all of us, and the training was 1 hour, so we're really fishing at it. So the application it'd be great if they're ready to go online. They say the landlord application, the tenant application is up and available to do online. I've had landlords call today, said they struggled with it. Did anybody try it today, online? Okay, somebody then obviously that wasn't in the room who said they were struggling with it. I would say that try this week. Paper copies are fine, and I think she passed out the tenant and landlord application. Paper copies are fine, but I will alert you that as soon as it's online, that's going to be the quickest, the most efficient, and the fastest way to get your money. Because the state is going to monitor everything through that software that they have developed. And what's great for you or the tenant is you can't see each other's application, but whatever you put in as the landlord, once you get a SARA code, you can go back into that website, put your code in, and you can see the process and follow your application. So if you go a week and it's still in the review process, obviously you can shoot an email in there, what's going on, or a call, or whatever the case is. But you can see it moving along a grid of where your application is at, and so can the tenant. 9 times out of 10, no matter if it's paper or no matter if it's going to be this online process, something is missing. So many of you last year who did the eviction diversion program, and I've heard people say, I never got paid. Well, there was 400 some people who never got paid because we ran out of money, number one, and it was because there were pieces of documentation that weren't in the files. Many of them missing income for the individuals, the ledger of the ledger from you guys as the landlords as to what is owed, what is in arrears, whatever it might be. Some of you include maybe the utilities in your rent, some include the sewer or water. I mean, whatever it is, I can tell you of those 400 and some files, probably 350 of them had missing pieces of documentation. Not alone did we run out of money. So the quicker you put everything online, and I'm going to push the online, but until we can get that working smoothly, it might have to be the paper, but the online is going to be the most efficient method. Now, I know your tenants don't have that capability, but if you allow them to come into, especially if you got a management office or something like that, allow them to come in, help them out with it, scan their driver's license, scan the lease agreement in, scan all, upload all that stuff in there, it's just going to go that much quicker as far as the payment process. The thing is, you do want your payments, so it'll be interesting. I'm excited about the online process, even though I'm not one of those big gurus of everything online, but I think this is a way to keep track of, because most of the time people send us one piece of paper, a tenant will send us a driver's license. Well, last year when we dealt with by ourselves with the EDP program, we've served over 1,600 and I think it was 57 families. So now, with the two of us being partners, I can only imagine. I mean, statewide, they plan on serving 60. Did you guys see the figure? How many was it? 60,000? 60,000 something, I think, statewide. Well, I don't know what to set for our goal here in Genesee County, but I would like to think it's in the thousands and thousands that we're serving with this kind of money. On this blue sheet here that says COVID, you see what the tenants have to do. They have to fill out the application, all the pieces of documentation, and believe me, if one of these pieces is missing, it holds up the entire process. That's what I gotta emphasize the most. And you got the part about the zip codes, and then below that is both of our contact phone numbers and also our emails. So if you're doing paper applications, you can send an email to whoever they need to go to, G-Card or Catholic Charities. And eventually, you definitely do want to do the online. You'll see up there the little blue box under landlords. As the fastest way to do that is sarah@michigan.gov. As soon as you put that in, the application's right there in front of you. You just save it and submit it, and away you go. So you can see some of the other requirements, 12 months of back rent, 3 months forward, some of the other things that we do, that's all in there, where the caps are and those kinds of things. We can continue on and then take questions, unless you want me to take questions about this program now. With your pleasure. No pleasure. The other sheet that I have that I passed out is Genesee County, as Genesee County Board of Commissioners and the Genesee Community Metro Planning Commission. They also put contracts out with ESG dollars, and there's been a lot of COVID money this last year, 2020, put out. And I only bring this up because if you get to the point that you have someone that goes through and hang on to the sheet, but if you get to the point that somebody's already used the SARA program, so they use it right now, and then 3 months from now they're already behind. They can't come back, 3 months they could come back to us, but let me tell you, we're gonna be processing so many other applications, it would be hard to come back for 3 months out of SARA. There's other programs that we have that help with utility assistance, rent assistance, even mortgages. So on this, where do I apply or whatever, you see that our phone number is in there, Metro Community Development's phone number is in there, and so is G-Cards. So we all have money through this COVID program too. So I only bring that up because there's other resources. So I don't know how many times, your tenants tell you they can't find it, and there's no money out there. There's money out there. So I think I'll stop and let you guys come and join in and offer whatever else you want to.
To you guys. to you guys. This information, I didn't know there was gonna be so many of you, so some of you don't have it. But Linda's gonna scan it and send it to everybody, so if there's somebody at your table that has a packet, they'll read the share with you. We apologize for that, I didn't expect a full crowd. As Ms. Vicki stated in her paperwork, we have a zip code division. G card is on one side, Catholic Charities is on the other side, so if your tenants reside in our area, please make sure that our agency receives all their information according to Ms. Vicki, receive all their information. If you guys can go in your packet, whoever has a packet, to the landlord documentation requirements. As of now, we do not have that software available for us to give you the link where you can submit all your documents. So right now, we have to do paper. So this form right here, which is the landlord packet, if the landlord can fill out this packet, I'm sure you guys probably already have filled it out. How many have filled it out already online? No one? Yes. Oh, just back there? Okay. So, right here is the landlord application. In the landlord application, you have to fill out the owner, your name, the tenant information. It's a small section right here for a ledger. On the next page, is the utility and eviction information. You check off which apply. If the utilities is in your name or if it's in the client name, then you just read this information, sign and date. The documentation that's needed from the landlord's perspective is the completed tenant application and landlord application, past due rent notice or judgment or notice to quit, a copy of the lease, a past due bill utility if it's in your name, the W-9, and a rent ledger. That's all the landlord has to provide. For the tenant has the application to fill out as well. You are able to fill this out for the tenant. The information that's required is the tenant information, household information for each individual in the household, name, birthday, social security number, their race, gender, if they're a veteran, and the relationship to the household. On the next page, same page, if they have more than one or two individuals in the household. The next page will be household information, their mailing address, their contact information, the COVID hardship. You have to check the reason why they're in the situation that they're in, household income, rental information, utility and internet information. The tenant have to sign off on the application as well. The required documents for the tenant application, the landlord application, the past due rent notice, judgment, notice to quit, ID, social security card, lease, ledger, past due utilities. If they receive any food assistance from DHS, if it's 3 members or less in the household, we do ask for a decision notice stating how much food assistance they receive. If it's more than 3, you don't have to worry about it. Copy of the 2020 IRS 1040 and proof of COVID hardship. COVID hardship can be medical bills, unemployment, child care expense, or any other major cost to the household that occurred during COVID-19. So those 2 packets is what's required in order to receive assistance from our agency. Along with the documentation that you guys have, we have our G-Card hotline phone number. If you do not want to submit the application and if you want your tenants to do it solely, they can contact us. Our hotline is open Monday through Thursday. It will start being open on Fridays. It opens at 8:30. Or you can fax the information. We prefer you guys to email it if possible. And our email address is on there. Our supervisor, Ms. Sade Davis, contact information, and me and Ms. Amy's contact information is on here as well. One thing I do want to inform you guys, when it comes to applying and receiving the assistance, it can take up to 30 days, if not longer, for you to receive a check. And the reason why it's a process in our agency, one of the reasons is if you are a new landlord and never been in our system, our county controller office have to verify who you say you are by your W-9. Once they verify, the process will go smooth. If you're already in our system, it'll go quicker. That's one thing I do want to inform you guys. That's it. Okay. Yes, ma'am?
I have a question. I have a tenant where you pay his rent for December and January. January is this calendar year. Now, his zip code is in your area, so he just reapplied. But your office told me through an email that he might not qualify, but he keeps texting me, saying, oh yeah, I qualify. So I need to know, because he hasn't paid February, March, April, and it's almost May.
Okay, so we won't know if he will qualify until we have all his documents and we put them into our system. The system that we use informs us if they income qualify or not.
So it doesn't matter that you paid him in January, because I was told you paid anything this calendar year, he doesn't qualify.
So with this new funding source, it's different. Our agency policy is one service per year. Yes, it is. But since Sarah is new, we're assisting all. And the only reason why it's one service per year, that's because we have not received an abundance of money like this. Some funding sources that we have used or currently have, it may be, let's say $50,000 or let's say $100,000. So we like to spread the money out amongst, residents that is in need. So we don't want the same individual coming back every month to receive assistance when it may be someone else that's in dire need as that individual.
Okay, so I should go ahead and submit my form, because I didn't submit mine, he submitted his, so I should go ahead and submit my paperwork.
Correct, yes ma'am.
The only thing we're really gonna be looking at coordinating together is how many months of the rent been paid. We don't wanna go over the 12-month or the 15-month period. So if they got paid for 10 months in 2020 by EDP money, they don't want us to continue on again with the new program, because we almost helped them for an entire year. So we probably could help them for like 2 more months, to make the whole 12-month cycle. But the 12 months versus 15 months, that also varies on their AMI, which is area medium income. So it's either that 30 to 50% below, or the 30 to 50, or under 80%. So there's different, we gotta go by what you charge, what's the market rate for the rent you're charging. We gotta go by the medium income they have, how many dependents in the family, and that determines how many months we can pay totally. But it takes into account what was paid in the eviction diversion program. So somebody said I helped out with 3 or 4 months, you said, so I have to subtract that, say they were entitled to 12 months, subtract 4 months from that, then I can pay forward if we were already 10 months into the year.
With the landlord application, it's got the utilities on there. Do we only fill that in if we're paying utilities?
If it's in their name,
Yeah, it's in their name.
So you don't have to worry about the
Just put no.
correct.
Okay.
Right in it.
Does that help to re-register if you're No.
We need all the documentation. We need all the applications and everything on the list from both documentation titles.
biggest thing is make sure that both of us have your W-9s.
Correct.
If we already have one on file, that's great, but that W-9, that's how you're gonna get paid.
Correct.
Are they still paying 3 months in advance, and then you pay 10% of the arrears or something?
Don't have to do that under this new program.
Are they paying 3 months in advance though? And
As
then
long as the.
we're signing a document saying we will not evict them until the 3 months are over, or is that what it says?
It doesn't say
able for us to pay the future payments, it has to be up to date on our arrears. Okay, otherwise we're not eligible for those fees.
Say that again, please.
To be eligible for the future payments, they have to be up to date on the arrears. So the arrears have to be paid.
Not paid by you, though.
They
If
have
you
to be
pay
up
the
to date.
arrears.
If we pay 12 months of arrears, then we can't pay forward. Because right now we'd be at 12 months, March to March, you got a full 12 months in there, right? And then we can't pay that.
No, we can.
Oh, we can then at that point?
And is that
It depends on
10%
the income
penalty
level.
still in
Yeah,
there?
10%'s out the window.
Right. It does depend on the income level, how many months we'll pay.
I had a tenant last year, we missed the deadline for the EEP, or not the deadline, missed the funding, and they're no longer a tenant. Can I still apply for it, for the money that they owe me?
They have to live in the residence.
Correct.
Now, the internet, that you have, where I have a tenant where they want to get that internet service that you offer, but they do automatic payments, so how they, so how do I think, give me the bill for me to submit that for them?
So, what service, internet service?
Their Wi-Fi, they're going to college at home, working on their, at their house.
So like, say for instance, if it's Comcast, we will pay Comcast and they'll have a credit to their account.
So they just need to show the service, like, if it's Comcast or whatever.
Now, you just bring us the bill, and we look at the bill, and we'll pay, the amount we're able to pay, up to $300, that's all. We'll be able-
Okay, but she doesn't have a bill, she said it comes automatically out of her account every month.
You have to have a bill.
Gotta have a bill, or she's gotta be able to pull it up on her phone.
Oh,
And
she can pull it up on
send a
her
picture.
phone.
Yeah, pull it up on her phone and be able to, so we can see how much the internet
So
is. A
she-
lot of people have Comcast and it's bundled.
Right.
We gotta see the bill to be able to see how much the internet is.
So if
And
she,
then we wanna know, what are you using it for?
okay, so she can.
And they better answer that question, all right? And we're not giving you the answer.
What you saying?
I said, they better tell us what they're using the internet for and answer it right.
Right. Most definitely. Yeah.
Ms. Schultz, you mentioned something about auditing systems, is that part of the zero program?
Not at all. Nope, that's just totally separate. Because you're gonna get to the point that they've exhausted the Sarah program. So if they exhaust this, if you're March to March and they've exhausted the whole program, then where are you gonna go? You're either at that point, you're gonna evict them, or you're gonna help them with other resources. And right now, 2020, a lot of people benefit by it. This next year, 21, 22, there's gonna be a lot. But I'd say, prepare yourselves after that, because I don't see another cycle coming from the feds or anybody else. And it scares us, because I can tell you what we have, like Latoya says, our budgets to help people with some of these other programs, it's 50,000 here, they might have 25,000, I might have 60,000. Well, those small amounts are no comparison between the millions that we're talking about in this program. So all I say is, as landlords, prepare yourself for when this program ends. I hope I'm retired.
So I have a question. I have a question for you guys. Do you have any tenants who receive any subsidized housing? Or they pay the full market rate? You do?
Yeah.
Okay, so we cannot pay the subsidy portion. We only can pay the rent portion. So to give you an example, let's just say they're 5 months behind and they did not recertify for the subsidy and they got charged a fair market value. You have to explain that to us in order for us to know what we can pay. So a ledger will be beneficial for you because you're gonna do the breakdown of saying Section 8 paid, their rent is $500, Section 8 paid $250, they're responsible for $250. We can only pay the $250, but you need to show that breakdown of where they were charged the full amount from start to stop, finish, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
So you're saying there was a change where the subsidy stopped paying?
If it
So we
is,
need to show when they stopped paying and why they were charged the full amount.
correct. Correct. And we only can pay their portion. So we only can pay $250. We cannot pay the
But if the subsidy stopped paying, you can pay the.
Correct, and you have to show, where it stopped and like the reason why it stopped. We have to have verification.
And does this kick off with a court proceedings, or was court kick off, or just the tenant, the landlord agreed to the arrearage?
So yes, you do have to have that documentation as stated here. It can be a demand of possession, notice to quit, and or judgment. Yes, sir.
If someone's brought current with the Sarah funds, is there a way to get month-to-month help after that?
Well, no, if they're bought, if they are, brought up to current, then we will be able, as long as they fall within that income guideline, be able to pay the 3 months moving forward. We don't have any program that we are able to pay month to month. Now, after the 3 months, if they are eligible to receive the 3 months of moving forward, if they need assistance after that, and if funding is available for, I'm sure, all prospective, both parties, we will be able to assist as long as in the guidelines of the other funding that we may have to use moving forward doesn't say that, you know, if they receive any, other EDP program, you can't receive assistance. If it doesn't have that language, we can assist.
So it's still available possibly through other sources, but don't count on it too much.
Say that one more time.
It might still be possible, but don't count on it too much.
Correct, with another funding source, yes. Not month to month though. This is the first, besides the EDP program, the EDP program and this program is the first funding, and I've been working with this department for 3 years. The first time I've seen us able to pay more than 1 month. First time.
I don't want to ask all the questions, but I'm a little confused. In other words, how long would you advise the person in this room to allow their tenant to get behind before they came to you or went to court? Are you advising them that you're going to pay a year's rent or 1 month's rent?
So we're not advising you guys to allow tenants to get behind. No, if they're living in your home, they need to pay you rent. Now, I understand that everyone is having an economic hardship. Not everyone, but a lot of individuals is having an economic hardship. I get that. So what needs to be done is inform them if they're behind in rent 1 month or 2 months. Please make sure that you do have the proper documentation, a summons. They don't necessarily have to have a judgment. I don't want to take it that far. I want you to take it that far. If they have a summons, if they have a demand of possession, contact us. We don't want any individuals out on the street. I look at individuals as I look at myself, and I hopefully that you guys look at yourself. Like, you don't want your family out, especially if they have a good reason. Now, I understand you may have some individuals that don't care. I understand that. So when it comes to them, see what their issue is. If their issue doesn't align up with your reasoning, then you do what you have to do. But before you do that, please contact our agency. We have too much money out here to not make sure you guys are paid. Contact us personally. You have her contact information, you have my supervisor, you have our contact information. Contact us and say, hey, I have a tenant that has not paid in 2 months, and I'm ready to get rid of them. Can you help? And we'll tell you, yes, we can, or no, we cannot. And if we cannot, our job is to contact other resources that we are working with to see if they have funding. If they don't have funding, we would tell you, we can't help you. No one else out here in Genesee County can help you. So whatever it is that you need to do, by all means, do it. But that's not gonna happen because we have funding, and we will always continue to have funding. So please, you guys, keep these individuals housed until available, until they
trap that we all fall into is in April, you promise us to bring their rent current, or maybe pay it in advance 1 month. But if we don't get that money until September, then they already owe us 3 more months when you pay us, and that's the trap that we all fall this year.
I think it's gonna move a lot faster now that there's 2 partners in this and a number of bodies. The previous program, we did not have enough staffing. Every time I checked into that department, I heard everything was fine. So that's why there's a lot of turnover, that's why there's a lot of new staff in my department. And that's why I'm here tonight, because I told you there's no coordinator for that program yet. So I think you're gonna see that moving a lot quicker. And this online system, it would surprise me if all the documentation was there. It would surprise me if you had to check in 2 weeks.
Very good.
And we're still hiring, so.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, so the other program, they gave me some partial checks from Catholic Outreach. Do I have to
Sorry, I
start?
can't hear you, sir.
When Catholic Outreach was giving the, Catholic Charities was paying people their money, they gave me some partial checks. And they said, we're gonna pay you the difference, but they didn't pay you the difference, they just gave you the $1,500 check. So do I have to start the process all over again?
Was that for the Sarah program?
No, we said the other program.
Oh, the other program.
The original. So
You
do
only
I
got
start all
partial,
over again?
you only got partially paid in 2020?
Yeah, I only got partial checks. It was $1,500 checks. So do I start the process all over again? And I got copies of the checks.
I would, first of all, why don't you call me, because I have no idea why. The camp last year was $4,850 was the most we could pay out.
They gave me partial checks, $1,500 checks.
Okay, yep, I'd like to look into that, number one, and it sounds like you're gonna qualify for this program anyway to continue forward.
Okay,
So if
just
that
while we're on there,
1,500 was only 2 months or something,
while we're on that, just so everybody has it in another spot, on that video, what phone number do they call?
for Catholic Charities, 810-232-3777.
G card is 810-768-4675.
Could you repeat those again, please?
Catholic,
Yeah, Catholic Charities first.
Catholic Charities, 232-3777.
Okay. What if they're damaging the property while they're there?
Can't protect the property while they're there.
That's a legal service question.
I get legal services involved in that one at that point.
Okay, so still work on getting the back rent and then get legal services to handle the damages that they're doing?
Correct.
Can any tenant apply there and
Yes.
it's directed to the appropriate?
You don't have to direct it, it's all done at the state level.
Okay.
They assign it to whatever, they go by the zip code, they go by the county, so it's a statewide system. So they're gonna assign it to one of us, and then between us, we get it to the right zip code,
Okay.
whatever the provider is.
And then my other question is, like, what if you have a tenant who is just not returning phone calls? And so how do you go about getting back rent from somebody who won't even return a phone call?
Well, most of the time, I would say the majority of the time, there's probably no reason you even need to get a hold of us, if all the paperwork's there. We're gonna either email or call a landlord and or a tenant if there's missing documentation.
But that's her question. She said,
Oh.
how do you go about if a tenant will not contact her back to get their information? What is she supposed to do?
As a landlord, what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, because like I have a tenant and I've been calling him for 3 months now, and I've been texting.
Well, if you can't get the tenant to return a call and participate, then you're not gonna be able to go through the program. That one probably needs to go out.
Okay.
Tenants and landlords are gonna have to work together. Because in this new system, or the system that we're gonna be using, is by email. So everything's gonna be emailed to the landlord and to the tenant, back and forth. So everyone has to have an email address, the landlord and the tenant, and you both have to cooperate with each other and work together to get this done.
Thank you, Bear. Alright, so the next thing I wanna do is I wanna give Terry from ServPro, 30 seconds, however long you want, while I finish setting up.
30 seconds, 2 hours, 6 days. I just want a real brief cherry picker from ServPro here in Genesee County. We can do any, when you know that you have problems with people moving out, there's issues and there's water. In addition to water, fire, that kind of cleanup, we can also do contracting. So somebody destroys a bathroom, somebody needs a kitchen, any things like that, or if there's, you want to get a pre-move-in cleaning job or a move-out cleaning job, carpets, pretty much anything has to do with a home or a business, we can fix it or put you in the right place for people put you in touch with people that can, and we work closely with insurance companies every day. I mean, we have 2 or 3 people, that's all they do is deal with insurance companies when there's claims going on. And I was just telling a lady down there, if there's a job, something you're waiting for some grants, we're more than happy to work with people. We're not gonna stick a bill collector on you 2 days after the work's done because you're waiting for some money from the government to come in from your insurance company or something like that. So I'll leave some of these around. This is our services card. Just kind of shows us a lot of the stuff that we do. I'm local. I'm around. Have somebody come out and take a look at a project. It's free. So, and I'm in the directory and everything else. If anybody has any questions, feel free to give me a call.
So the next thing I wanted to show everybody is how this eviction database works. And it's been on the website for quite some time. Can everybody hear me? Huh? Oh, this thing went to sleep, so there's no way through. Got it all set, and I muted this thing, and then I went to sleep. So the whole purpose of the eviction database is we go back more than a decade of evictions that we have inside of our system. And all we have is the tenant's name, we have the landlord's name, and the date in which the eviction happened. So the problem is there's so many John Smiths out in the world that we don't know which John it was. We don't know necessarily why they got evicted, how they left the premises, or in which John Smith it was. So we added the capability inside the eviction database for you as landlords to go in and leave comments on the eviction itself so that other landlords in the organization can know how this tenant potentially left the property. So I'm logged in just to the member side of the GLA website right now, where I will be. I sign in, you should sign up top in the corner, and I go to log in. Now, under other resources, there's the members only content button. And I would click on that. And at the very top of the members only content, it says eviction, moratorium declaration, and then there's the GLA court data link. So the database goes back to 2005. So anybody in here, if you could just please take the time, and then, this week come in here and add your evictions in, it'd be a huge service to everybody in here. And then also, like right now, because it's going to be, as soon as this money runs out, the turnover is going to be high, and we got to know what's going on with these people. So the faster you do it, the better service is going to be to all of these things.
If you've ever done a cash for keys before, that technically would fit into this category, but it's not on a public record. So
Yeah, so
anyway,
if you had to do a cash for keys, and you send us the data, or if you even had a list of several pass for keys, it would be easier to send us to them at more than just one at a time, so time consuming to get to the back end. If you have scenarios like that, we can do manual inputs. It just is time consuming. But if there was a cash for keys where you feel it was really worth it, please send it. All right. So
everybody understands that the whole purpose of this is to keep your fellow landlord from getting burned by professional tenants.
because they're real.
Yeah, because they're out there. If you look that information up and you go, oh yeah, not only were they evicted, but they trashed the house, they did this, they did that. It doesn't
Because
matter.
everybody's throwing hard times. Like, people get evicted, but they could be evicted and be a good person. So if you evicted someone and they left the house clean and presentable and moved out when they were supposed to, you can leave that too. Like, we're not here to burn these people, but if they were a decent human being, you can leave that information too. It's all, goes both ways. So Linda will email out all the packets that you guys got today. If there's any people here that are not members, be sure to join so you can get on that email list for all the updates. Does anybody have any other random real estate questions they'd like answered before we close the meeting?
Rats. Does anybody have to deal with rats?
Squirrels? Lots of squirrels. Alright, so thank you guys for coming out and meeting with us in person tonight. I hope you enjoyed the venue, and if you have any comments or recommendations, people you'd like to hear speak, or anything we can be able to. Oh, I almost forgot, sorry. The tax program. So, as an organization, we have set aside a $5,000 fund to pay filing fees to any Genesee County municipality, for any property in Genesee County, to the state of Michigan, to go in front of the board for tax tribunal if you're actually being overtaxed. Now, everybody in here thinks their taxes are too high. If they're within 5 or 10%, it's not worth filing. But like, for example, I recently bought a property for $450,000. When I purchased it, they were taxing it on $330,000 or $350,000. They then uncapped the taxes and rose the value that they're going to tax me on to over $1 million. So I promptly filed on Friday to file to the state of Michigan to get my board hearing. Now this is a very tedious, long process. Like the last one I'm doing right now on Linden Road, where they're double taxing me as well, it took me over a year to get a hearing date. And from the time I got the hearing date was 9 months away. So it's almost a 2-year process, but you do get refunded back for the money you already paid. So like the last one I won, after they had to cut, so I won and they cut me a check back for $13,000 that I overpaid in taxes. So how this program works is we're going to pay your filing fees, get your property information to Linda. So if you had to go for residential, you had to go to board review. If you felt it was important enough to come out of your day to go to board review and try and fight your taxes, we're willing to put our money behind your case. But if you didn't think you were being overtaxed enough that you didn't take the hour out of your day to go make the case to the people, we're not willing to fund the case. If we win the case, we have an attorney who's going to fight these. If we win the case, the only thing you pay is 2 years worth of savings of 1/3 of the savings. So say they save you $1,000 a year. For the next 2 years, you would pay the attorney $333. So the $666 of profit of the reduction is yours. You just pay them $333, and then the life of the property, you have the savings. So we set aside $5,000 for that. All your little letters that you got back from Board of Review saying, hey, this is a decision, we have not changed your value. If you get those to us, in any packets of information that you took to present, so it could be comparables, please try and make our life as easy as we possibly can, because these attorneys are very busy at this time of year, and we're going to try and get all these in by the end of April. So you got 2 weeks to get all this data to us, because if we wait till May, the attorney's going to be bogged down with the really big cases and is not going to want to spend, his very precious time working on our little deals. So if you can get us cases by the end of April, we'll pay your filing fees, and you guys can hopefully save some money. Any questions about the program?
Not commercial properties?
We'll do commercial. The more we can sniff them, the happier I'll be. What else?
Just to see, I hope everybody understands, part of the reason that this is being implemented is that we hope to make sure that the townships and municipalities understand that we are an organization to be reckoned with, and not to just keep pushing us around.
Because if we can fill the 5,000 and we have good cases, we have the funding to spend as much as we possibly want. And obviously this is the first year we're rolling it out. But say this year you buy a property and you're unfairly uncapped on that property, next year we want to go after them and make sure that these assessors know that we're not going to, okay, he's a member of the Landlord Association. We need to treat just the people fair in general. There's no reason a property that had been on and off the market through multiple foreclosures that I bought for $450,000 is now being taxed on $1 million. There's no basis to tax this value on $1 million. It's just very, to me, it's very unethical. This is now the third time I have to take the same township, spend $700 in filing fees because the cases are so big, just to try and get my back check back. I shouldn't have to do this. So and these assessors, they're busy as it is. If we could slam every municipal assessor with another 20, 30, 40 cases that they have to potentially hear at the tribunal down in Lansing, maybe we'll start to be more reasonable.
Fair.
Yes. We just need to be
We're just
fair.
looking for fair, right? And as an organization, we don't, as an individual, they just see you and they don't care. You're an investor, bang, we're gonna take them. But we're gonna try to correct that. That's part of what this whole process is we're going to try to make sure that our members aren't being unfairly, I had the same exact thing that Ed thought. Bought a property, one price, and as soon as they uncapped it, they decided that it was worth 4 times what I paid for it.
I sold a building to a guy on Ballinger Highway for $180,000. It had been on and off the market for 4 years. Didn't sell. I finally found this guy to buy it for $180,000 on a land contract. It's a little office, mixed-use retail plaza. At the time, his taxes were $4,000 or something like that. As soon as he buys it, he hasn't even lifted a paintbrush yet. They uncapped the taxes to $11,000 a year, and now they're taxing it on $360 or something like that. It's pretty clear that the property wasn't worth $360. It's been on the market for 3 years. Finally sold for $180 to someone who couldn't even get normal traditional financing. It had to be alternative type financing. So it's probably even worth less than the $180. They don't care. So it's just very disheartening at times.
It's subjective. See, and everybody needs to realize, most of the appraisers, it's subjective. They're not really looking at the numbers. They're trying to get a number of income for the municipality. So if you're not protecting yourself by going after the taxes, like Ed said, if you're within 5 10%, it's not worth it.
Yeah, so like that same property that they're gonna tax me $1 million, my partner on the deal is going through a divorce and had to be appraised. We paid $450, it appraised for $451,300. So now I got appraisal for $451,300, and they think it's worth $1 million. So it's, you know, it is what it is. So that's that program. If you have any questions, feel free to call me on my cell. Just anybody. Do you guys need my cell? You guys, it's in the book. 938 Eddie with a Y. And hope to help you guys fight some taxes and get them reduced. Thank you guys for coming. Have a good night.